Welcome to Legacy Cast, your source for hearing from top influencers, industry experts, and successful business owners who are telling their unique story about life, values, goals, business strategies, and the various causes they are so passionate about. Future generations will come to be impacted by what is happening today, whether positive or negative, and our mission is to focus on what is going to affect change for the better. Hosted each weekday by James Snow, a former U.S. Army combat medic, now founder and principal advisor of James Advisors Group, a full-service financial planning firm in North Texas. This is Legacy Cast. Welcome, Legacy Cast listeners. This is your host, James Snow, and coming to you from North Texas here. Finally got some cooler weather in this area, so that's certainly a blessing and good news. And yeah, on that note, I have a guest here coming from the wonderful state of California, where I think the weather is always wonderful and never have the 130 degrees that we've been having this year. So, fortunately, we're doing pretty good. But my guest, Marisa Cali, and she's in the social media world, which is really a great topic for us to talk about. And so without further ado, I'd like to welcome Marisa to the program. Welcome, Marisa.
Thank you, James. I'm happy to be here. Glad we can finally talk.
Yeah, we've been kind of doing a hit and miss probably, but for a while, and we've been chatting for forever and ever and ever, it seems like.
Yeah.
So it seems like we're old friends, finally get to see each other face to face, so to speak.
Right, exactly.
So
Thank you for having me.
Oh, sure. It's certainly a pleasure and honor to have you here. I know you're taking some time out of your busy schedule, so I certainly appreciate that. But here with Legacy Cast, as I like to always say, we talk about what people are doing today in their lives to make a difference in the world, because a legacy is more than just a financial conversation. It's what are you doing educationally? What are you doing to help your neighbor, to help the community? All those different kinds of things. It's what are you doing to tell your story your way so that generations from now know that you lived, what you cared about, what you were passionate about, and what you did to make the world better. That's really what a legacy should be. And so that's partly why I'm excited to talk to Marisa about this, because her view of this is going to be pretty unique. She kind of comes from a different world than I come from. So Marisa, when you're thinking about a legacy, what does that mean to you personally?
To me, I think that building a legacy is probably one of the most recent revelations that I've had. For about 12 years, I have been in the digital marketing space. So I've done website implementation, project management, product management, all that stuff, under the umbrella of digital marketing. And I've been helping a lot of people grow their business. And while I love what I do, I'm really able to find the uniqueness of someone's story and help them bring that out into the world, and help build other people's legacy. I realized recently that while I'm helping other people, I have not really focused on my own legacy. And, that was recently, maybe a couple months ago, when I realized, okay, let me input all of this knowledge that I've gained working for myself and helping other people's businesses and all the tools that I put in place for other people, and let me build my own. Because I think that, while I've done a lot of things behind the scenes, I haven't really been at the forefront. And so it was important to me, not saying for ego purposes, I need to be in the front, I need to get all the spotlight, but I need to know that when I leave this world, I want to make sure that, like you said, that people know what I did and know what I was passionate about. So I'm trying right now to go that route. And I think that I'm on the right track, just with everything I've learned. And I'm working on some new projects that will, basically go alongside my journey as a solopreneur and working as an entrepreneur in the social media space, but also another venture. What that is yet, I don't know, but I'm doing all the steps to get there. I think that that's the most exciting part, because I know it's a journey and it's going to take a long time to get there. So.
Yeah, I like to look at legacy building as more of a lifestyle, even than just an event.
Yeah.
It's how we look at what we're doing and how we're doing it. And you're touching on several really important points there that I wanted to kind of touch on each individually, because they are so important. You're first talking about just realizing the need for it, and so many people that I talk to, they're just kind of let me do my thing, and I'll be good, and they're not really looking at the bigger picture, and they don't necessarily see the value yet about putting the legacy together. So I commend you for having that revelation, because it is such an important thing that people not even just consider, but being deliberate and intentional in what they're doing, because everything that we do today is going to make an impact tomorrow. And, that's either going to make a good one or a bad one. And people say, well, I'm not really into legacy planning, but, truth be told, you're creating a legacy, whether you realize it or not. So, let's make it a good one. And so, like I say, kudos for actually putting that thought in there, because, the things that we do, are going to affect, that story. And so it is very important, I think, that, we all have within ourselves that conversation. And, you were talking about, the different things that you have going. I mean, you're also a podcaster. So, I love that side of what you do. Can you tell us a little bit about the podcast that you do? Because, that kind of touches into really what your legacy is. You were saying you haven't really thought about your own legacy, but all of these years you've actually been building it and just didn't realize it. So tell me about your podcast for a sec.
Yeah. So my podcast, it's called Bicoastal Panda, and the bicoastal part comes from the fact that I used to live in New York, and I feel that really shaped who I was in terms of getting stuff done and making sure that things were always moving. I mean, it's a huge, if anyone's listening and's been there, they know that it could be overwhelming with everything that's going on there all the time, and everyone's always on the go. But I think that's really helped me in terms of right now working for myself. And then the panda part, pandas, I've always been fascinated by pandas. It's probably my favorite animal, as the mascot, whatever you want to call it. But pandas are known to have a quiet determination and strength, and they always have apparently this is what they say, they have a positive outlook on life. So when I was started my podcast in late January under a different name, and I did about 6 episodes, and I kind of was bored with it. I was this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. I liked the name for maybe a month, and then I was I can't, I don't like sharing it. It's not interesting to me. It's not me. It doesn't fit me. And it was very marketing focused. And at the end of, 1 or 2 episodes, people were selling their deal and pitching. And I was okay, that's not what I want. This is not another marketing podcast that, there's very good ones out there. And, I listen to them all the time, but I'm I'm not trying to be that. I need something else. Sure. And so I just switched on episode, I think 8 or 9, I'm up to episode 33 now. And, wow. It's been fun. I mean, I really just talk to people, talk to other business owners like yourself. Mm-hmm. James, I'll have to have you on in the near future. But really, what are their struggles? What have they gone through? What have they learned? And just chatting with them. I mean, it really is, I wanted to do it to talk to people. Because, if you're working from home, you don't really talk to a lot of people. You can get really bogged down by all the work tasks and not really realize that you're still human and you can still have a conversation with people. And so that was part of why I wanted to do the podcast, and it's been serving that purpose so far. And it's not salesy, and doesn't feel, that's not me. I'm not salesy. Right. So it's I didn't want a podcast like that. So. That's Bicoastal Panda, and it's a fun name, and it's a cute little image, and I love it, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So, kind of with what you were talking about earlier, and then, also, with the podcast and then the other projects you have going on,
Mm-hmm.
how do your views on legacy actually affect, now that you've had the revelation you mentioned, how does it affect your plans for what you do in business currently?
Oh, well, I think that one of the things that I've come across in business in terms of building my legacy is, and I think this is something that a lot of people don't always know right away, and that is like being able to say no to working with someone because they don't fulfill you as a person, and they don't align with you in terms of their visions or their values.
Right.
If someone, and then being able to set those boundaries from the first interaction and deciding whether or not you want to deal with, something. I mean, I'll use an example. I had a conversation with someone recently, maybe a couple months ago, about possibly working together on their social media strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And I, I guess they wanted actual like tips, and they wanted the strategy like on our first call. And I was like, I kind of felt a little, at first I felt intimidated because I was like, okay, well, that's what I get paid for. So I can't really give you the strategy until we have a contract or we have something there. But, it turned out to be something where I chose not to work with them. I had that call, and I just had like, I use the hashtag in some of my personal conversations with other business owners, and I use a hashtag red flag city. Like, to me, that was red flag city. Already they were just showcasing how they were going to treat our business relationship. And I knew that was something that I didn't want to be part of my legacy, and constantly, like you said earlier when we were talking, like pushing a boulder up a hill. Like, this was something that it was going to start off on the bad foot, and it wasn't something that I was interested in. And I think that's part of building my legacy and making sure that I align with people that are on the same page, respect me the same, respect my time, respect my views and my expertise. And I think when we're in the business world, the traditional business world, before like all this online like tech and all that, like people kind of just did whatever the CEO said or did whatever the customer said all the time, and it just backfired. You had disgruntled employees, or you had, you stayed in a job that you didn't decide you didn't want to do, but it paid the bills, right?
Sure.
But now we have so much more freedom to build our legacy and surround ourselves with people that align with us. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that I taken away in terms of working for myself. And I'm confident in it now, versus a couple of years ago, probably not, so.
Yeah. And I love that particular lesson that you had, because it's something, especially when I'm working with, younger entrepreneurs, is, talking to them about the fact that it is okay to say no, because, if you're doing business with someone that you should not be doing business with, not only is that really going against your belief system and your values, which is a paramount thing that you don't do that. But what ultimately ends up happening is if you proceed forward and try to do business with them later on, it's going to bite you. And if it falls apart and you had a whole bunch of wasted time, if at best case scenario, and then worst case scenario, you end up having you lose. You end up losing the money that you tried to make off of it, and so you start losing money in the process. And so it's like they say, there's enough to go around. So if we can focus on the people that are a good fit, and it's okay to shake hands and part as friends and, give them a referral, because then you're still doing something that's adding to the legacy, and it's adding value to that, to that relationship. So, I love that's such a big deal with you.
I mean, it can be it can sometimes throw you off because you may be expecting a certain, contract to come through and then it falls apart. But, we talked about this offline. It's like the funnel's there, like how big is it and where have they come into the funnel? And you have to constantly be thinking about that and making sure that they're all like aligned with you so that it is a good business relationship or there is that respect. And I think it's nice to be able to notice that, for now, and then also share that information with people that are just jumping in to working for themselves, so.
Sure. Because, one of the things that I would also inquire of you is how important you feel the mentoring relationship is, because that's kind of where you're saying, speaking with younger business professionals is, being able to be a mentor and, being able to be, someone that is able to inspire them and, that they can look up to and learn from, because that's really one of the most valuable resources that's out there is a good mentor. And you were telling me offline, that's that you're kind of plugged in with that type of a thing there in the San Diego area as well. With
Bunker Labs is something that I recently, been aligned with. San Diego's a huge military community. Earlier this year, I was involved with the Rosie Network. I gave a social media workshop with them, and the Rosie Network is almost like it's a nonprofit as well, but they have something called the Rosie's List, which is kind of similar to Angie's List for like, service providers and stuff like that. But Rosie's List is like military and military spouse focused. And so I've been kind of like, one of my really good friends is a military spouse, and her and I, have been kind of like on this journey together. She's building her business, I'm building mine. We have accountability between each other. But, I got connected with this community via her, and, just kind of like really just being out there in the community and talking to others who may not understand how social media can benefit their business and how they can really get their stories out there pretty easily. I mean, it does take time, but, if they understand the tools that they can use and how it's very simple just to, keep talking about what you're doing and sharing your mission. I think it's something that, I think a lot of people have found and basically put a light on about that. It's like social media is not just about sharing your meals and your food and, where you're going to brunch, but it's like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is the legacy I'm trying to build. Check out this thing that I'm working on, and I think more people will align and kind of support you if they see your journey instead of just like, hey, I'm doing this work, I'm doing this business, now support me, give me money, versus like, oh, I followed you for, 6 months or so, and now you're launching your business. Wow, that's awesome. So I think it's,
and that kind of raises something that I was going to ask you about is with working in the people in that area, you have a workshop that you're putting together for the social media. So if you can tell the listeners about that, because that's it's going to be something valuable, especially the people in San Diego, LA area.
Yes. So I mentioned her before. She's a military spouse. My friend Flossie Hall. She built a 7-figure business online through social media, and I saw it grow. I met her about 3 years ago, and I saw it grow. We were kind of like aligned in terms of, me advising her and her bouncing ideas off of me. And we decided, a lot of people were asking us like, what, how do we do social media? And it is time, you talk about your journey, you talk about what's going on with your business, and you're not always selling your stuff because people don't want to be sold to. They just want to identify with your brand and your themes and what are you passionate about. So we decided, why not throw a workshop for the local entrepreneurs, military, anyone. We have a wide open network in the San Diego entrepreneur community, and it's called Been There, Done That, not another boring social media workshop. And we won't have PowerPoints. We will actually have worksheets for you guys to, us to bounce ideas off each other. You'll be in a small, intimate setting, less than 15 people, and really just getting that one-on-one attention on how to do your social media, and not always just posting to every platform and hoping that something sticks, and really kind of forming the foundation of what you need to do for social media, and how it looks, what fonts you're going to use, what type of themes you're going to talk about, what are your pictures. And so there's a lot of it that a lot of people don't really realize, that how, if your look is consistent and your content's consistent with the values that you represent, then people will start to take notice. I've done it myself. I've helped other people do it, and so has Flossie. So we are doing that on November 8th here in San Diego. And if you want information on that, it's on Eventbrite, or I can give you the link, James, if you want to share it out too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's also falling around the Veteran Small Business Week, I think it is. That's right around there.
Oh.
So it's perfect time for that to be falling, especially for the vets.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning the hashtag No More PowerPoints, which to me is pretty funny, because as a veteran, we have a saying that's death by PowerPoint, and so all of the veterans in San Diego area are just going to love that one, because we got PowerPointed to death in the service. It was horrible. Like, paralysis by analysis. I mean, they were just like going, and they weren't even good PowerPoints. They were just cheesy ones. So not using PowerPoints, you're going to get a lot of positive response there. So
I think I think that's one of the things that was helping, with the mentor thing that I was talking about. Like, people, they have a good idea of their business, and then they have to go and do a pitch deck for like venture capitalists or something like that. But then they put up their pitch deck and it looks like crap. And I'm like, excuse my language, but it's like, I don't want to like discredit the work that they put into it, but that's everything. Sometimes how people view your business is how you present it online. Is it professional? Does it have, doesn't use Comic Sans like a comic book font? Does it have like a business? I'm thinking, like, if I'm a venture capitalist, I want to see a clean PowerPoint that doesn't have like blurry pictures and stuff like that. So that's one of the things that we always mentor these startup entrepreneurs. Like, they have great ideas, but let's put it into a visual package that makes sense and resonates with people. So I definitely identify hashtag no boring PowerPoints. So that'll be fun. It'll be fun to not have a PowerPoint so people can be bored and sitting in a class. Like, they're actually getting to do work, which is one of the best parts, I think.
Yeah, and it adds so much value, because you're giving them meat on the bone. You're not just throwing a whole bunch of information on the screen and saying, "Here, take notes, go home." Be fruitful, multiply. I mean, you're actually giving them some meat on the bone, which is going to be good.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we noticed. People were kind of just like doing social media workshops. I did it. I've done it before, where I just, people sitting in a room, people watching me, but they still have to go home and now remember everything that they were told, and they don't do it because it's just too much time, or they forget what was being told to them. So this is a little more hands-on, which we're excited about.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, I look forward to hearing, how that goes and how it turns out, because that's a very valuable service that you're putting out there for them. Now, when you're thinking about some of these businesses that you've been talking to and so forth, like with working alongside with Bunker Labs and the other people that you've worked with over the years, obviously you've probably seen some that, the entrepreneurs are just failing or giving up in their endeavor. What would be your insight just from your angle in the business as far as why they're doing that, why they're giving up or why they're failing?
I mean, I think there's a multitude of reasons. I think a lot of the failure comes from, I mean, two things. I would say not understanding how long the journey can be. I think that if you go into it thinking you're going to make a ton of money like right away, you need to change. Like you're not gonna, it's not gonna be, I mean, you could get lucky. There's definitely people and examples like that. But I think a lot of it is really discovering who you truly are and who you're going to serve. And this is not, for veteran entrepreneurs, anyone really. Like, who are you serving and what problem are you going to solve? And I think that takes, really some introspection into who you are and what you want to offer people, but also a lot of research into your ideal customer and finding out where you can get them and are they going to be passionate about what you have to offer. And that is not a get rich quick, one of those like, buy my workshop and tomorrow you'll make thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. I mean, whatever they sell to you. And that those things bug me because I'm like, okay, you're just kind of making a quick buck off, someone who thinks that all the information you have is going to apply directly to their business, which it doesn't always do that. And that is one of the things I think that I've been able to share with other people that are thinking about getting into their own business. Like, can you be mentally strong enough to handle that you will have struggles, you will be at your lowest low, but you also need a tribe that's going to be there to help you and support you for your long term. If people can't understand that or don't want to align with that, then you don't need them in your life. I mean, it's been tough. I've noticed a lot of people, drop off of my social circle because of that, because they don't get it. But, the ones that are there for the long term, they're there, and I need them sometimes. I need to bounce ideas off them, see what they say. And I like when people say, hey, your baby's ugly. Like, I don't like that idea because it really does challenge me to find out what I'm truly trying to get at, and or explain my idea a little bit better. So I think those two things, understanding that the journey is going to be long and can be tough at times, but also making sure you have the right people around you in business and in personal life, Sure. So.
Yeah, there's lots of researchers that, I love statistics. And so there actually is some research that I recently ran across that they were mentioning the number one reason for failure was, in fact, that people didn't know who their client was. They didn't know, or some people say, their ideal avatar. They just didn't know who that was. And or you had the right product, but in the wrong place.
Right.
So it's, those things, that's kind of some research that people need to do, ahead of time, because,
and I think that, I think that there's a lot of people that, and I love Facebook for reasons to connect me to you, other, being able to grow a community and have, true people following and support. But then there's also those ads that you see that are like saying, oh, you can build this business in 5 minutes and you'll be rich. And then that's like the downside. And then people think like, oh, I can build a business in 5 minutes. Cool. And I'll be rich. And they get marketed to, or they get sold to. And then, they don't realize that it's a much longer process than that. And they fail, so to say. Or maybe they weren't even qualified to fail because they weren't ready to be in business or something like that. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of those scams. That's one of my pet peeves is, all of these things, like buy this program for $15,000 and you're going to be able to be a millionaire in the first year. And you're starting a business. You need that $15,000 for other stuff. You need that. You need that for supplies and for your own personal marketing. You don't need to be giving that to somebody else that doesn't need it.
Right.
You need to save it.
Or legal fees or, whatever, like a very simple like traditional business model, you need to turn the lights on. So you need that $15,000 to invest in yourself almost, so.
Yeah, you're kind of touching on something there. So how do you feel about business plans? A lot of people, I see a lot of people who's like, oh, I don't need to have that, or the financial plans to put into place before you really get into business.
Yeah,
so many
I
people,
think
it's like they're trying to jump off in the deep end of the pool and they don't even have a life vest on yet. In my
I
opinion.
think it depends. I mean, I know that that's what you help people with, and so I think that it is. I know that for me, a business plan will help guide my actions and my business in terms of projecting out what I plan to do with the business. But I'm not sure that it's needed for someone who doesn't want to scale larger than than what they are doing right now. Like for me, I am a strategist. I help other people, and I'm my own person, but I don't choose to have a social media agency with employees under me. That's not something that I want to be part of my legacy, because I like helping a lot of people. And right now, I'm working on my own, separate business idea that does require a business plan. It will require funding and stuff like that. So I understand, depending on which channel you're in and what type of, what do you foresee your future as, I think it's definitely important, and it helps guide you to where you're going, especially if you come across an investor or someone that's really interested in investing in you and your business idea. I think it's super important to have that, at least, within the first couple of months before you become officially official, like with the government or something. Sure. I think it's super important. It keeps your eye on the prize, so to say.
Sure.
You're not just like figuring stuff out like on the way, so.
Yeah, I kind of like to look at it as having a roadmap. You have that atlas that you can look at, because nobody goes on vacation, across the country. Nobody goes from like Texas to Yellowstone without having a roadmap, because you don't want to take the wrong turn and end up in Canada. You want to take the right route, and so
right.
It does have that value.
Yeah.
And now, since you do have several different business things that you're doing, and you have your new projects that you're working on, and in your existing business, what would be maybe a couple things that, as a business owner, kind of keep you up at night? Do you have a few of those things?
Wow. Yeah. Right now I have a pretty good grasp on my time management and energy management. So when I go to bed, I don't have a lot of, that's like my time to sleep and my time to relax and not, have any, things keeping me up at night. But, I know when I was very not good with my time management, or like I didn't understand how, why I was wanting to stay up late and get a bunch of work done, is because I didn't have systems in place for possible leads, for people that might want to be on my podcast. And I think, setting up those systems in terms of, oh, you want to book an appointment with me? Okay, go here. Or you're interested in talking to me about social media? Okay, fill out this form and then book a meeting with me. And these are systems in place that help me manage my time better, so that when I go to bed at night, I know what's going to happen the next day. I know that I'm going to jump on a podcast with you, and then I have another call later today. I'm going to talk about, a curriculum that a client is building. So there's different things that are going on throughout my day, but I know when I go to sleep, I'm good, because I've had my systems in place, and I'm planned out my day for the next, if someone wants to book a meeting with me right now, it's like a 2-3 week time period, because I just mentally, it's easier for me to handle things when they're timed out, and
Sure.
kind of like spaced out, so to say, So.
Now, we earlier were kind of talking about the the personal values and belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
How do yours play a role within your business, and how would you advise somebody starting out to incorporate that into their business?
Personal values. Yeah, I think that I've always been very altruistic, and that is, I think, really coming to light in my business and what I'm working on. And I think that I notice it based on the type of people and type of clients that I come across, and I feel like they're attracted to me because that's what I'm putting out. So I'm putting out that I'm volunteering for like a dog rescue, or that I've worked with Bunker Labs that's military focused, or if I go to some event and post about it, it's a patriotic event or something, and this is something that is super important to me as a person, and then I attract those same people back to me. So before, I was living like, when I first started working for myself, I was more in a scarcity mindset. Like, I just needed to make the next buck so that I could pay this and that. And while that's something that I needed at the time, because I was, without a job and looking for things, it's now when I'm putting out all these things that I believe in and the personal values that I represent and express throughout my social media, those are attracting the right people to me. So I don't really have a lot of negativity around me. I don't have a lot of people that are, kind of draining my energy. Mm-hmm. And I notice if that does get to that point, then I know when to cut it off, because it's like, this is not serving a purpose in my personal life or my business life. So bye, I don't need the extra time or attention towards something that doesn't fulfill me, so.
Sure. Yeah. And that's good advice for people starting out is, just to be aware of, really what is their personality, what is their belief system or their value system, because it should be part of your business. I mean, you can't cut yourself down the middle and be in two places at once. Your business has to be, part of you and you of it. And so I always tell people, when I'm asked, what should I do about, my value system? I said, put it right in the middle of your business and don't be apologetic about it.
Right.
You'll attract the right people. And if people don't agree with what your value system is, they shouldn't be doing business with you.
Yeah.
Because it's just not going to work. It's not going to work.
It'll never, it won't align with you. You'll start off on a bad foot, and you'll have resentment. They might be paying you, but you just have a weird feeling. There was a book that I read recently in the last 6 months. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F. And the title is misleading because it sounds like you should just go through life and not give a crap about anything. But it really just kind of tells you, focus on the things that you can control, and, don't give a crap about something that in business won't affect your business in the long term, but give a crap about something that's gonna help you in the long term in terms of personal life or business life. So I highly recommend that book. I mean, it really did help me see things. When something was bothering me, I'd be like, okay, do I need to worry about this for the long term? I mean, it was really eye-opening for me. I think a lot of people have read it, but if you haven't, definitely check it out.
Yeah, good recommendation there. And just a little, my 2 cents in there is when you're mentioning it, asking yourself, do I really need to be? If we ever ask ourselves that question, we already know the answer. So it's just kind of,
that's so true. That's so true.
That's my two cents worth of living many years is, if you have to ask yourself, should I be doing this, or is this good for me? You already know the answer. So
yeah, the answer.
You can save yourself a lot of pain by just filling in the blanks on that one.
Right.
When you started your businesses, though, you obviously had hurdles that you had to overcome, and different things, transitioning into the business space. How did you overcome that?
I would say that I always tried to learn something from something that I thought I didn't do well at. If there was a bad, like we talked about, values and aligning attracting people that, you want to work with. I think that in the beginning it was very scarcity mindset, and I was kind of just attracting whoever would pay me, but in the end, it didn't really align with my end goal. And I was just doing work just to do work and get paid, but it didn't fulfill me. It was kind of something
Sure.
like, oh, I'm here to do this work, but it doesn't work for me. And I think that, losing last year in August, I kind of I was like my lowest point in terms of business. And uh, my problem was I put all my eggs into one basket, thinking that that particular opportunity was going to grow into something larger than it was. And it didn't. And I got about a week notice of it being from something that was going to be long term and ongoing to it's not going to exist anymore. And that's unfortunately that it's a good friendship I have, so I wasn't upset about that, what happened, but it was really eye-opening in terms of my business, because I was not focusing on any other thing except for that. And took a while to get out of the funk, but it's helped me learn and know like where my direction and focus needs to be, and make sure that I don't have all my eggs in one basket. At least not right now. Maybe in the future when it's my own thing that I'm working on or something, but it definitely, I failed forward in that sense, because it felt like I was going backwards in terms of my business, and I was ready to just go back to 9 to 5. But I learned a lot from that whole scenario, so.
Important lessons, but hard ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think you learn a lot of lessons in business, so most of them are good life lessons too.
And like the saying goes, the lessons and the success actually comes from failure, because if you did everything perfect every time, then you wouldn't learn anything. But it's the things that we struggle with and that we stumble on. Those are actually what give us the most knowledge and the most learning and the most growth.
Right. Exactly.
So did you have a particular like a quote unquote aha moment that told you to go into the business that you're in?
Yeah, I was actually taking a digital marketing professional development course. Courses. It was a program. It was 8 courses, and they covered my background. As I mentioned before, was in digital marketing, and I kind of covered all the different topics, of digital marketing through working with agencies and on different types of projects. And so I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to take this program and gain some more knowledge, because I had not been getting new information previous to that, because I was in an agency working on one type of product. And when I was in all those courses, some of them were like Google Analytics and SEO, and I'm understanding the content, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the course. I got A's in all the courses, but it was something about the social media course that really was my aha moment. Like, I was running a business that was basically just my name, and it was called Marisa Cali Creative, and that was how I was marketing myself. But creative could be anything, right? It could be design, it could be photography, it could be anything. And I don't think it was until that moment, which was in 2015, that I realized, okay, I need to focus on social media, because that's exactly what I want to do. And that class was so fun, and I realized that this is where I need to go in terms of the channel, in terms of digital marketing. And that's when I maybe a couple months after that is when I rebranded and was like, okay, I'm going to be all the social. And I've been working on that for 2.5 years now.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously all the social is your business name and how everybody can get a hold of you, which is kind of catchy name. I like it.
Yeah. And I was surprised it was available like on all the platforms, because, when you go and like get your names for all the social media platforms, and it was available when I signed up. So I was like, oh, this is a sign. This is definitely my calling.
Definitely fortuitous. And, certainly, that another big aha is like, okay, that was meant to happen.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So, Marisa, what would you say your biggest or your greatest strength is?
Oh, wow. Am I in an interview right now? My greatest strength, I think, is just being able to, oh, wow, this is tough. Trying to think. I think that one of my greatest strengths is really being able to identify and understand other people's thoughts. I don't necessarily think that I align 100% with people in terms of their life or their outlook on life, because my experience is different than other people's. But having exposure to all different types of businesses, personalities, working for myself, working in agency life, living in San Diego now, I'm from San Diego, and then also living on the East Coast, I've been really exposed to all different types of people, all different types of cultures, certain things, and just being able to respect that part of people, how they think. I think it's really beneficial for me in terms of my personal and business relationships, because I understand what it will take to get the job done. And if they need someone to talk to, great. If they need some info about their business, great. But I understand that, and I can tap into that just by identifying with them on one specific aspect based on what I've experienced in my life.
Okay. Flip side of that, what would you say your greatest weakness is, though?
Oh, my greatest weakness is probably, it's funny, spending too much time on social media. I think it's funny and ironic because it's my business. I need to be on social media, but sometimes I can get wrapped up in like the fun stuff of social. Like I'm like super into space and space photography. So sometimes I get lost in like reading about some stuff from NASA and like learning about that stuff. And I understand that that's more so it could be distracting from other things that are going on in business. And I need to, now I need to understand that I shouldn't always be on my phone, because it can be distracting to getting the work done when I need to get it done, and I think that that's one of the things but I need to be on it because it's my business. So it's like finding that balance and like we said before, time management, and saying, you know what, I'm just going to get this stuff done so I can relax and be on my phone and look at pretty pictures of rockets and stuff like that. Oh yeah, that's me.
So with the business that you're in, obviously you have to have brainstorming time and times to get your ideas together. Now, is there somewhere that you go to do your brainstorming? I mean, do you like go out on walks on the beach or something like that?
Yeah, I'm huge on. I don't really do a lot of nature things, but that's one of my things that I want to do this fall is like get out and explore new parks and beaches and just kind of like take it all in. But right now I do a lot of like brainstorming while I'm like at a coffee shop. I have an office at my house and I use it a lot. I'm here now, but I realize that, sometimes I just have to change my scenery and really focus in on the creative side of my brain and really just kind of let things flow out on paper or a voice note or whatever. And that's kind of how we came up with like the name for the hashtag no boring PowerPoints. I mean, it's like, that was just kind of, hey, I'm at a coffee shop. I'm, wired on black coffee and I'm, there was some piano music playing and it just kind of like came up to me. I think changing your scenery once in a while can really spark your creativity.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very true. So for someone that, perhaps wanted to get into a similar space as what you're in, how would you describe your day-to-day at a very high level for them so they'd kind of be able to have a better idea of it?
Yeah, I think that, social media, I am very big on like strategy. And I think in the beginning, when I first was saying I was going to do social media, a lot of people just think, well, like I can open up my Facebook app and I can post for this business and just kind of figure it out and hope that it turns into a sale. Now, while that is fine, and I don't do that for my clients because it's like a full-time job. What I can do though, when someone's trying to break into the space, is really finding out where they want to specialize in, because there are a lot of people that help with social media. And I think in the beginning I was unsure of where I would specialize in myself. And what I really thrive on is really figuring out and helping someone come up with their strategy, where they're going to post, what they're going to post, how is it going to look, and even helping them come up with that, those visuals, because I do specialize in visual content. I am not a graphic designer, but I have that creative bone in me. And I think that, if you are trying to break into the field, really just tapping into like what you love to do. And I think a lot of people think that they want to have a social media agency with like, all these clients and a bunch of employees, but they're not good managers. Like what are they really going to thrive in an agency setting? Talk to agency owners, see if that's something that they want to do, or do they want to do collaborations with other people. Like I work alongside website people that have their own business and we do projects together. I would never want to hire someone like that because I'm not I don't want to do that. Like I want to help other businesses, but I don't want to have an employee under me. Like I don't agree kind of with that model. It doesn't fulfill me. It's not something that I'm interested in. So I think really just tapping into that and what fulfills you as a person would help direct you and where you want to go with your business and what you can offer people.
Okay. Now, as our final major question for you, it's one of the ones that I actually like asking people, probably more than most of them. If there's something that you can tell us that most people don't know about you.
Oh, wow. Wow. I feel like I shared a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, most people, I don't know. There's so many things. I feel like I share these things online because what happened, when I was like doing my first, social media clients and stuff, I really was relying a lot on my resume and like my experience of, 10 plus years at that time, 10 plus years in digital marketing. And of course I know what I'm talking about, but, a lot of people don't know that I, have, I can sometimes, be hesitant to come out of my shell and like be out in the open and be on a live video or go go to a public, meetup because, I'm not sure how much how much value I can offer, so I always think about that. Like someone might not know that, like, if I go to a meetup group and I might be smiling and stuff, I still feel like I don't belong there, or like I have a lot of, I don't even know what I'm saying right now. I'm like, I have a lot of, I still feel like I'm growing a lot as a person and a business owner. And I think while I put a lot of my stuff that I'm passionate about, and I try to, be vulnerable out on social media, I still have trouble sharing when I am like that, even, when I meet people. And I think that, being in social media, you have a lot of pressure to be out there in the open and talk about your life and stuff like that. But there's still a lot of things that I don't share with people because I just don't, I don't feel comfortable, or, I'm not ready to share with the world. I think I share, my weirdness in terms of my space photography and getting lost in outer space. But like, I think there's a lot of things that are more in depth, that if you sit down and have a coffee with me, or maybe a drink, you'll learn a lot more, and that'll take some time to get to crack the shell, get into the surface, inside,
Yeah, it's kind of funny. We both have that similar quirk, and we both have podcasts, and we both do videos and things. We throw ourselves out there in public, yet at the same time we stay behind a shell. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah. No, people think that I'm not an introvert, and I think sometimes they're like, you're an extrovert, you're always out there, you're always social. I'm like, yeah, but like, they don't know what's going on in my head or what I'm thinking about when I'm there. I'm kind of just like, I'm present, I'm trying to offer value, but I'm also thinking about, space or like, where's my next vacation or something, some really weird things. But
yeah, or where's the door? Sometimes.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I know, but that goes back to the, do I really need to question? Like, if I have to ask that question about going to a meetup, I don't go, because I know that I'm already going to not have a good time. I know that I'm not going to provide value to someone. I'm going to dread being there. And, it happens sometimes. I get overwhelmed I get overstimulated with talking to people, and I'm just like, I just want my alone time. I've been on social media all day, or like I've talked to a billion people all day, but I just want to be alone, So it happens.
And that's okay. It's okay to do that. Nothing wrong with it. Well, we kind of got the questions out of the way, but people are going to want to be able to reach out to you because you're such a wealth of knowledge, and you have so many different things you can help people with, from the social media to the design elements, just the knowledge. You have a Facebook group that people can be part of and be able to pick up, the drips of information from you. And, we obviously, you have your website with allthesocial.com, but if you can mention maybe the Facebook group, and then also, I guess, people can connect you on LinkedIn as well. Yes.
So my Facebook group is Collabs, Convos, and Coffee. You can get that at Facebook groups, facebook.com/group/collabs and convos. You can, it should be there. It's also on my profile on Facebook. So I'll give you the link to my profile and you can find it that way. But yeah, I am at All The Social on all the platforms. So you shouldn't have trouble finding that. And LinkedIn, you can reach me at linkedin.allthesocial.com, and it'll take you right to my profile.
Cool. Okay. Got a little subdomain there to make it easy for people.
Yes.
So
yes, it's one of my systems,
I do some giving a mile long URL is let's shorten it.
Right, exactly.
Cool. Well, Maria, or
Awesome.
Marissa, it's been great having you on here and being able to pick your brain a bit and get
Yeah.
let the listeners get to know you a little bit better, because there's a lot of depth to you. So it's
Well,
good to be
thank
able
you.
to spend an hour here and be able to get all
Yeah.
this information out there. And
I've definitely enjoyed talking to you, and you challenging me on those questions, because I wasn't prepared with those, but it was a lot of fun. Thank you.
well, hopefully it wasn't too uncomfortable for you. Yeah,
No, no,
wasn't trying to give you
no.
a formal interview to answer
Right?
the question.
No, it's fine. Thank you.
But it's been a pleasure, been an honor, and as I like to say to everyone that's been on the program, I will see you around the bend, my friend.
Bye.
Bye-bye. You've been listening to Legacy Cast. Thank you for joining us today, and be sure to come back next time as we speak with more top influencers, industry experts, and business owners from around the world.